Negroni. But as all we talk about Friday afternoon at the 4 o'clock hour, it's who's hot and who's not. What are we doing now? Is just blowing it? Oh, fist bumps, just a little blowing it up.
What's
Who's hot?
going on?
Who's hot?
We are. It's really warm in this.
It is warm,
this
and
room.
we've got the AC cranking. I don't know if
That's
we can.
all right.
I don't know if we can get the AC cranking a little bit more. Things are heating up. PVD Fest this weekend. Actually, PVD Fest, one of the things on the hot list.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. It's a chance for everyone to come down and check out the local art scene here in Providence. Should be a fun time had by all, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to make a stop down here at some point. I know you'll be there.
I hope to make it down this weekend. There's so much going on. And Willa von Nostern, who usually comes on and does cocktails with us with Little Bitta, had this great communal table. Did you see this in Kennedy Plaza?
Yes, I did.
It looked fantastic. It seemed like it was a smashing success last night.
And what's great about her is when she comes in, as you pointed out, she's usually coming in, leaving just as I'm coming in, and she leaves
She
drinks.
leaves you cocktails, but she wasn't here
Yes.
today. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. But
Well-
she did cocktails last week, and they were absolutely delicious. So yeah, we like her.
Yes, she's a great addition on
Yes,
Go Local. So
absolutely.
PVD Fest is hot. Of course, you've got politics on here.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Shikarchi. Why the majority leader?
Sure, I put Majority Leader Shikarchi on this list because he spearheaded a bill through the House of Representatives that would cut down on the amount of time it takes for permitting to get major subdivisions and major complexes built in the state of Rhode Island. I think that's really important because right now it seems like in the real estate market there's kind of a lack of supply. So I think that this is the perfect timing for this bill, and I think the timing should have been basically any time because we should be making it easier for people to do business, not harder. So by rolling back these regulations and reducing the amount of time municipalities have to affirm or deny a project, I think is a good thing for developers, a good thing for buyers, and a good thing for Rhode Island as a whole.
Do you think, I don't know enough about the legislation, do you think there's enough safeguards? Is there
Yes.
enough consideration given
Absolutely.
so that
Sure.
communities have concern, neighbors have concern, that it's just not
Yeah.
fast-tracked?
Yeah, this is a shot to the face of the NIMBYs, so I think that's a good thing. Whenever we can give the NIMBYs a sock in the jaw, it's always a good thing. So yes, I'm not too worried about that. That's where I stand, so that's my take.
You never know where Russ Moore stands, but apparently he's in the anti-NIMBY party.
Yes, for too long we've had them wreaking havoc on
You're
us.
on the anti-NIMBY party.
In this sense, of course.
Of course.
Yes.
Someone else you had on the hot list, Paw Sox, Bob Billington, who was in this week, agree with the Paw Sox proposal or not? He raised an interesting point.
Yeah, he did. He really did raise a great point. And what he said was there was never a time when all these people, all these stakeholders got together and sat around a table and worked on a solution. Instead, it was done piecemeal. This one talks to that one talks to the other one talks to this one. And it gets to be a lot like that game we all played when we were in elementary school, in which I'd whisper something in your ear, you'd whisper something in Molly's ear, Molly whispers something in Tony's ear, and by the time we're done, it's totally different than the original whisperer.
A little game of telephone, if you will. Yeah,
So-
something like that.
So that's what we ended up with this Paw Sox plan. So I think Mr. Billington made a good point. Get everyone in the same room, work on it together, see if we can get all those people on the same page, then bring it to the full body, the General Assembly, and see if it can work. So I think it was done in a way that was not effective. Another thing I would say about the Paw Sox plan, since we're on the topic, is we shouldn't be bringing this up so late in the session. Bring out your plan in like January so we can have a rock'em sock'em debate and with all the facts and all the information and all the viewpoints out there.
Yeah.
This is the second time in 3 years that hasn't been done. So that's a separate point, but I just thought Mr. Billington had a great point of his own, so I
Of
put him on
everyone
the
being
hot list.
around the table. Do you think we've heard the last from the Paw Sox?
No, I do not. I think this is the gift that keeps on giving. It's like the fruit of the month club, you know?
Paw Sox, the fruit of the month club. No,
Yeah.
I do believe. I mean, just hearing what we did from
The
Senate.
white elephant of the year club. That's what this is.
You got a lot of clubs.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of clubs here in Rhode Island.
But when Senate
And you're
President,
wearing white today.
I
so
am wearing white.
Made me think of
It's
that.
after Memorial Day. It's kosher.
It's all right.
It's kosher. I can
All
do
right.
it.
All right, good point. But don't wear that after Labor Day, right?
After Labor Day. Oh no.
See, I know a little bit about fashion too. I've had fashion stuff
Well,
on the hot
we'll
list.
send you in the front row of the Pierre Cardin event down in Newport.
I should be there. I should be there.
That was somebody who was on the hot list.
That's
so
right.
Bob Billington and the Paw Sox. Let's talk a little bit things happening here in Providence. Erin Wilbur, the new executive director at the soon-to-open Rhode Island Nursing Education Center.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. A good selection. She's got a lot of experience in this field, so I think she was a good fit to lead the the Nursing Education Center, and I think that school is going to be a great addition to the Rhode Island educational landscape, which is already pretty strong to begin with. So I gave her a shout out and threw her on the hot list. I think she's going to do a great job.
I think we'll be hearing a lot more from her when that
And
opens.
it's going to be all good stuff.
And speaking of women, Cervenka, Green, Ducharme, Antonelli, all-female law firm.
Yeah, all-female law firm, and all those folks you just mentioned, they all have really impressive backgrounds. So I think that firm is going to be quite a powerhouse here in Rhode Island, and I think that some of the competitors might be a little nervous about this new firm that's opening.
Now, what do you have to say if you've seen some folks on social media who might have said, oh, it's an all-female law firm. What's the news there?
I would say that I think it's news because they are so qualified. It's for qualified people. It doesn't matter that they're all female. That's what I would say.
It's a powerhouse law firm. But we did have Rochelle Greenan, who did mention there were some statistics about the number of actual female partners at firms. It was somewhere around 20%. So they're just, the numbers speak for themselves. They're just not represented in the partner class of law firms. And as you said, for very highly qualified, powerhouse female attorneys, so we're going to keep an eye on them moving forward. They are on the hot list.
That's right.
Who else is hot? Dylan Malloy from Brown University.
Sure, yeah. I thought he'd be a good person for the list.
The number one.
Yeah, the number one
draft pick in the
whole lacrosse, the whole country here. I think that's interesting. I mean, lacrosse is a sport that's on the upswing in the United States. I think it's putting a dent into baseball. So Dylan is the first person from Brown University to be selected in the first round, let alone the number one pick in the whole draft. So I definitely thought that was hot. Lacrosse is expanding, and we've got the number one pick here.
Kudos to Brown for, again, a great program. The number one pick, Dylan Malloy, on the hot list. Let's see who else is on the hot list. This is interesting. You have Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is skyrocketing. It's through the roof. They're called cryptocurrencies, and they're digital. But I think that the reason that Bitcoin is so hot is because foreign governments are starting to invest in it as a way to offset some of hedge their other investments. And I think it's something that's here to stay. I think when Bitcoin was first burst on the scene, it's known for being volatile to begin with, but it started off relatively high, but then it crashed, but now it's up through the roof again. So I put Bitcoin because it's the number one cryptocurrency, but I think we're going to see a lot more of these currencies as we move forward, and they're going to become more popular.
I do love how when you usually, you write about things locally, you write about things national, and then all of a sudden
international.
Then all of a sudden you end up writing about, last week it was Justin Bieber, this week it was Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin.
It's always like a wild card.
I like to have one wild card in there every single week. That's a good observation by you.
Yes, but it was interesting. Bitcoin, they just had something. There was the heist, and it had to do with Mt. Gox. It was a virtual exchange where do you have any concerns that there's not actually any physical currency?
No, because our currency itself is backed by basically nothing. It's fiat currency. So when you look at it, our currency is just traded on confidence to begin with. So how does that make it any different from Bitcoin, which is crypto or virtual currency? It's traded on confidence. So I really don't have much of a concern about that. I don't actually hold any Bitcoins.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I don't have any yet, but that would not preclude me from holding them.
All of a sudden we find out that you've got all this investment in Bitcoin, and then we have to sue you because you didn't disclose it to us when you came here on the show.
I'd still be in a good position. I'd still be happy with my position. I'd be stronger in that position than the one I'm in now.
Then you'd be in here, yeah. We'd have probably put you in timeout for a little while.
No, that wouldn't be the first time.
So that is pretty much rounds up the hot list.
But you know what I'd do? I'd grovel. I'd beg for forgiveness.
Please let me back in. I've sold off all my Bitcoin.
Remember that was my advice. If you're ever in trouble, just grovel and beg, and it's your best chance.
You do some good groveling.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm so used to it. I've had so much practice.
Russ Moore does some good groveling.
That's right.
We've wrapped up the hot list. Not hot this week. Let's start off Blue Cross and Kim Keck.
Sure. Blue Cross is definitely not hot. They're crying poverty. They're looking for double-digit rate increases for businesses. Yet they have this money to advertise at a polo match.
Now, where'd you read this?
On golocalprop.com. Where do I read everything? Or 99% of the things. So yeah, I was really turned off by that. I think Ms. Keck should know better. I think we need stronger leadership out of Blue Cross. I think though it just looks so bad for them to be advertising at this polo match when they're asking for rate increases.
Let them eat cake?
Yeah, we can let them eat cake. Sure, who cares if we've got to hike rates?
Let them stump the divots. It is
and they blame
interesting.
Obamacare too. That's another thing. They're blaming Obamacare that they have to increase rates. So
optics are optics are optics, and we're just pointing out a fact. Asked for a double-digit rate increase, decided to advertise a polo. Put two and two together. Talk amongst yourselves. That's.
Go ask the average man or woman on the street how they think that looks, and you're going to get a very similar reaction as to what I'm saying. That's my argument.
So that was Kim Keck and Blue Cross. Now, interestingly enough, you have the speaker and his car tax on the not hot list. Seem to be very popular. Why do you have him on the not hot list?
Because it doesn't go far enough. He's been talking up this car tax like he was going to eliminate it, and he said he was going to phase it in over several years, but we didn't know it was going to start off with this small of a phase out. I mean, I think that the speaker needs to realize that people are turned off by this slow phase out approach, because we had that approach at the turn of the year 2000 when former House Finance Chairman Tony Pires came up with a similar plan to do the same thing. Now, I'm not blaming former Representative Pires, because I think he would have fully implemented it. But as the years go by and the crisis of the moment occurs, what's the first thing that they backed away from? It was the car tax phase out. So I feel like it's a very small step, and I feel like if he didn't promise a bigger first step, he sure implied that we were going to get a bigger first step. I'd further add that Governor Raimondo's plan would have done more in the first year than Speaker Mattiello's plan. So I was turned off by this. I would have liked to have seen a bigger move to begin with. I do hope that Speaker Mattiello can implement his full plan over 6 years. If he's speaker, even for all that time, that's yet to be determined. But I do wish him the best. I hope he can make this happen. I personally like the speaker, but I'm a little disappointed with the way this plan has begun.
Okay, the world according to Russ.
Let's see car tax according to me.
The car tax according to Russ.
Sure.
Things going on here in Providence. You put the NAACP Providence branch on the not hot list.
Yeah, there's a battle going on between the leadership and some of the people who think that the leadership hasn't been affected, and they've made some serious allegations about the way that the finances have been handled. And it's really a sad thing, because I know that the NAACP does so many good things to advance the cause of civil rights and making our society more fair, a society based on character and a capability instead of skin color and race. So I'm kind of sad to see these two factions in the NAACP kind of at odds. So I'm hoping that they can resolve this problem sooner rather than later and get back to doing the good work that they do on a daily basis here in Rhode Island.
Okay, so that was one of them. Jeff Immelt with GE, the digital jobs here in Rhode Island.
Yeah, what's
going to happen?
What's going on? CEO Immelt is under pressure from some of his investors. I believe one of them is called a Triad Capital, and they want him to cut his expenses by about $2 billion over the next couple of years, become more efficient. So I'm a little bit concerned that those cuts could be taking place here in Rhode Island for those jobs that were, those 75 jobs, 100 jobs that we're raving about. We may not get them if he decides to make those cuts in that area. So it's a little bit frightening. I know we reported on this issue.
And something you read first
on Go Local. So and it was a little bit frightening. So I hope that Mr. Immelt can right the ship, can make these cuts, but can also bring these jobs to Rhode Island. I know that Governor Raimondo agrees with me. She doesn't want to see those jobs not coming here either. So she and I are on the same page yet again. Okay,
finishing up the not hot list, something that Go Local have reported on, the police department transparency and specifically use of social media.
They don't use it, right? I guess I do want to add this. I think that, the Providence Police Department is staffed. The lion's share of the staff are brave men and women who put their lives on the line every day to keep us safe, keep us protected from some of the criminal element that unfortunately is lurking in our city. So I have a ton of respect for the Providence Police Department. However, at the same time, I would like to see them become a little bit more transparent, a little bit more receptive to press inquiries, and have a better social media presence. Sometimes it seems like the Pawtucket, a much smaller department, is much more active on Facebook than the Providence Police Department and other social media as well. So again, this is not a knock on the brave men and women that make up the rank and file of the police department.
It's simply the usage of social media, which everybody uses, and we see in other departments around New England, simply pointing out the utilization in Providence as compared to other police departments. Worcester is, every day there's multiple releases about things going on, crimes that have occurred, suspects not yet caught, things that are there, and there's a huge following, and folks are informed real time. So that was the intent of just pointing this out, and could we do a better job on social media?
Transparency is your friend, Providence Police Department. It's not your enemy. It'll help you. It won't hurt you.
Okay, and last but not
You agree with
least,
that, right?
I certainly do.
All right.
I usually agree with you on a lot of things.
Oh, I
Russ.
like that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we disagree on a few.
All right. I have that caveat.
But putting Kathy Griffin on the not hot list, I mean,
It was easy. That was a pretty easy one to put on the not hot list. I mean, she's got this mannequin head.
who has? If you haven't seen it, you're living under a rock.
Okay, so you've all seen it. It was a little disturbing. I will say, though, she is a comedian. Comedians are often outrageous. So while it was not hot, some of the fake outrage from some people has kind of been a turnoff because, I mean, granted, it was outrageous, but she is a comedian. Comedians are paid to be outrageous, so she did herself no favors today at a press conference, which she tried to blame the president for her misstep.
She's lawyered
She's-
up.
yeah,
she's,
I don't know.
We'll see what happens, but there's ramifications. I mean, she's a comedian; it's her profession, and we've seen. I think she's had gigs or sponsorships and anything kind of monetarily associated with it. People say yes, you can say what you want to in this country, but there are ramifications for what you say.
And it is a little bit ironic how these progressive folks and these liberals, they tell us that we need to be politically correct, and then we get this from them. So that was a little bit shocking. And also I will say this, the conservatives are always telling us that we need to be a little bit more, that the liberals need to be a little bit more tough and a little bit less offended. Yet I'm getting all this conservative outrage. So it seems like there's a lot of hypocrisy going around out there, and I get turned off by that. I don't know about you.
And I'll tell you what, one of the things that ends up being in the media vacuum, everyone fixates on it, it's in the news cycle, there's so much else to be talking about as we do here in Go Local. That's one of the things that is also not hot, is how these isolated events, yes, she's not hot, but does it really deserve 72 hours worth of bandwidth?
How does this affect my life? How does the car tax affect our lives? In a big way. So let's talk more about the car tax and the budget, and less about mannequin heads with fake blood on them.
Yes.
So.
Well, I always appreciate the hot or not breakdown. Little potatoes.
Thank you so much.
Mashed potatoes, Russ
All
Moore.
right.
We will see you later. As he does every Friday afternoon, Go Local columnist Russ Moore breaks down the world according to Russ. Who's hot, who's not, in Rhode Island, in the nation, internationally, and he always kind of throws in a little wild card. Last week it was Justin Bieber being hot, and this week it was Bitcoin being hot. Apparently because it's doing so well. Does not have any Bitcoin, Russ Moore. So we'll see you next week to see who's hot, who's not here